Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Nick. I'm a PhD student in Science and Technology Studies, and I'm a PhD student in Science and Technology Studies for the time being. We'll see. Might be a PhD student on a break in Science and Technology Studies pretty soon, but we'll see how that goes. In any case, I have been reading tarot cards intuitively since I was about 15 years old. And yeah, this is my first reading online, or at least my first reading on video on YouTube. And yeah, I was going to do something different, and then I realized it was May the 4th. And so I was thinking about it, and I decided to do a May the 4th reading. So yeah, if you're a Star Wars fan, and especially an Andor fan, you probably want to stick around. Because I don't know. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but we're going to see. We're going to see how it goes. So yeah, I was debating back and forth, but this looks so like Star Warsy and, Andor-y that it's like a really dark, cool tarot. So I'm going to go with this one for the main one, and then this one for clarification. So this is the True Black Tarot. It's one that I got in the Kickstarter. I really love it. It's I'm going to correct myself in the comments or in the description if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Arthur Black, and the photography and design, and Matt Orrin wrote the book. And then this is my old standby that this is a long story how I got, well, it's not a super long story, but I'll tell the story later about how I got this one. Jeez, come on, computer. Sorry. Excuse my reach. It is the Mythic Tarot. It says Trisha Newell, 1986. I did not get it in 1986, but it's from the 1986 printing, so it's pretty old. And it's the Mythic Tarot. Trisha Newell. So, I will clarify anything that I need to with that one, but I'm going to put that aside for now. I also, tend to channel a lot of, I get a lot of musical, stuff, a lot of music in my head, a lot of music comes to me, also when I'm just, out and about. You can tell I'm Canadian, probably. I hear a lot of, music that's important to me will come up when I'm running around. And so, and also, if I'm, if I watch readings on occasion or something like that, I will hear, someone will say, oh, this song, came to me, and I'm like, oh shit, that's one of my favorite songs. Also, if you don't like cursing, sorry, that's gonna happen. In any case, so I went to, and I'm going to put the links in the description for this, I went to the Andor official playlist and figured I'd just click on, shuffle and see what came up. And so, of course, now I have to go and get my notebook to remember, the specifics about it. But I went to the Andor playlist and I picked up, I shuffled and I got a specific song after listening to Niamos, of course, because the dance mix of Niamos, because that's badass. If you're not listening to that, do that, or watch 10 hours of Mon Mothma dancing. In any case, so on the Andor official playlist, I did shuffle, and I was thinking about the question for this reading, which is for everybody that's watching this. I'm going to ask, how are you revolutionary or rebellious? And how you can use that in your life, which is probably pretty important right now. Andor is pretty important right now, so that's why I'm using this. And so basically, what I got was the Sienar Avenger, which is or Sienar, however you say it. Someone's going to correct me. And it is from season 1, episode 1. It's basically the first track after the opening, and spoiler alert, okay, I will put spoilers in here, so skip all this part. I'll put time codes in there or whatever when I figure out how to do that. But basically, I'll keep this here, and when the notebook goes away, please, you can stop listening. But this is the spoiler part. But essentially, this is like the to me, this represents the beginning of the difficult part of the adventure for you, or your rebellion, or your revolution, because this is sort of this is when Cassian steals like the TIE fighter uh, prototype, right? It's not what he thought it would be. All of these things. So the mission is much more difficult. And when I watched him stealing it, I kept joking, oh, Cassian Andor, hero of the rebellion, because it's like it's not. He's not the cool guy that you expect him to be in this episode. He's kind of like messing up and like backing the like in Galaxy Quest, when they have to put the controls and show Laredo which way to drive the freaking ship. He keeps backing up into things. He's messing up all over the place. But it's not just that. Like this is really the hard part of the story, like, because Cassian had nothing to lose in the first season of Andor, but in the second season of Andor, he felt like he had nothing to lose, but now he has everything to lose. He has family, he has people he cares about. He's gotten that back. And so the speech, like, I talked a bit about this. This is going longer than I thought. I'm sorry. I will totally get to the tarot in a second. But the speech that he gave the technician who worked on the TIE fighter, that cute, adorable woman. I talked about it with my partner, who we were watching it with. I was watching it with, and it was a sort of thing where we were like, wow, like how many times does he end up giving that speech to people about, this is where your rebellion begins, etc. by Rogue One. And right now it's sincere, and he's excited about it, and he's like into it and everything like that, right? But like by the time he gets to Rogue One, how many times has he given that speech to people and had to know that they're going to die? Like, what happens to this woman? Does she survive? Probably not. How many times has he had to give that speech over and over again? By the time we get to the Battle of Yavin, and he's just like crushed by all the people he's lost. And at the end of this 3-episode arc, like, I feel like that's the look on his face, is like, I know how many people I'm going to lose. He's lost Brazo. He's lost his mother. Like, he's just losing so many people. And I think, like, the enormity of what he's going to have to lose is coming up. And I think that's the thing. What will he lose by Rogue One? How many times has he given that speech? And it's what I kind of called the Cassian to Luthien pipeline, right? Like, how does Cassian Andor, our sweet little thief, become Luthien Rail by the end of it? And that's rough. So I guess maybe what the song is sort of talking about, you can go and shuffle it and kind of find your own personal song and meaning. I would encourage you to do so. But I think what it's saying is, like, me too, I guess, since I'm part of this as well, is we're all getting to the part where the rubber hits the road, right? We're all getting to the part where this is the hard part, where the tough decisions are made. What are you willing to sacrifice? What are we going to lose? How hard is it going to be? Fun times. Sorry about that. But yeah, I like music. Yay. Anyway, let's get to some tarot cards. Woohoo. Okay, so I'm going to shuffle on here. I hope this isn't too long, but I'm sorry. I, like some other readers, I watch or have watched. I have ADHD, so you know, it is what it is. I also forgot to eat, so my hands are a little shaky. Actually, I didn't forget to eat. I was just like, oh, should I eat before I did? No, it'll be fine. No big deal. I forgot about how, you know, I shuffle a lot better when my hands are more steady. I can do this a lot better, I swear to God. All right. Especially when I've eaten food. Had more than coffee and water and Coke Zero. Breakfast of champions. All right. Let's do this one more so as not to draw out the process. All right. Sorry, I know this is probably extremely painful. Watch it on 2x speed. That's what I do. Skip through, whatever. That's what I do. That's what I do. Okay. So, all right. Spirit team, spirit guides, ancestors. All my cats who have gone past, whoever is out there, please tell me. Tell these people watching, the collective, I suppose, is what people say. Tell me. Tell us all. What was the question? Hilarious. I'm going to make sure, because I had all the same intention, so I want to make sure I get it right. How are we revolutionary or rebellious? How are the collective revolutionary or rebellious? And how can it be used in their life? So let's start with, how are they revolutionary or rebellious? How are we all revolutionary or rebellious? Let's just see what comes out. Not too many cards, please, to right now. How are we? Whoa. Got the devil. Get my mouse out of the way. Oh, all right. Start here. Devil. Ace of Swords. 10 of Swords. How is the collective? How are we revolutionary or rebellious? So what I'm seeing right here is immediately with the devil, it's being subversive. It's definitely taking what people would normally see as wrong, as evil, as incorrect, as something you shouldn't do. And makes a lot of sense for rebellion. I mean, Lucifer had a rebellion against heaven, right? So taking these things and making them your strength in your rebelliousness. It's taking these things, and with the Ace of Swords, using them to find truth, to show the truth. I love this one. Like, I love these imagery so much. Like the flaming crown and the roses. This always reminds me of Revolutionary Girl Utna, you know, for me, which is like one of my favorite animes, because it's just like Utna in this anime is just the most noble, pure, amazing creature. she stands up for everyone. She stands up for truth. She stands up for love. She stands up for people being who they are. And even when people cross her, she is willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. She's willing to accept that people can change. She wants to see the best in people. So it's just this flaming sword of truth. Like the best of what Lucifer Morningstar can be with the flaming sword of truth. That's really what I see. And that's like someone who loved humanity so much that they defied God. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that feels really powerful. And with the Ten of Swords, I mean, that's interesting, especially with the song, because that feels like an end of a difficult cycle. But understanding what you have to lose, right? Understanding what the sacrifices are. Like knowing, like you've sacrificed, right? You've given stuff up. You've lost already. Like this is Cassian, like season 1 and season 2 so far, right? Like this is, well, I won't go through it for people who haven't watched Andor because I said no more spoilers. Although I didn't really spoil Una, so hopefully not. Knock wood. I'll try not to now with my pop culture references, even though Una is an extremely old anime. So if you haven't seen it, just freaking watch it. Any case, this is like, yeah, if you go to Andor, no spoilers, but these are the losses like he's already gone through. These are the sacrifices he's made, and you could even look at it as like the sacrifices Luthen's made. To make, or the sacrifices the rebellion has to make this happen, or will make. If some of you know what's coming up in Andor, what's happening in Andor that's in Star Wars canon, you'll know what I'm talking about. So real quickly, I'm just gonna look at the book for these because I don't always do that, but like as you can see, these cards have some really interesting little, like the court cards at least, have some really interesting little background stuff in there. So I always like to look at this because A, this book has some really interesting interpretations, but B, this background and boss stuff is actually some cool stuff. You'll know what I mean when I say. Anyway, sorry. Let me just find it, and it will explain what I'm talking about. I never know what order these are in. I'm so sorry. I will maybe cut this out of my little searching part. I'll see how long this video is. You know, I watch like hour videos anyway. So quickly. I'll talk. Oh yeah, this additional artwork is really interesting. So, you know, the devil, temptation, deceit, materialism, excess, and this is basically says, like I'm. It's the opposite of temperance. This is the Christian. So I'm not going to read like what it would normally be because like, or the general interpret, like I don't feel like this is here. Well, okay, I'll do it anyway. The devil takes what is good, pride, affection, pleasure, and twists it into a force that binds. It asks for indulgence in the excess, to be unrestrained in the pursuit of humanity's more basic and animalistic wants. Standing opposite temperance, the devil is the bastardization of that which is natural and pleasurable. A beautiful figure with gleaming golden wings is centered on the page, recalling the Christian incarnation of Lucifer as one of God's beautiful angels fallen into sin. One hand is lifted to its lips in a whispering gesture, recalling the demons of Islam, Shaitan, one who whispers into the hearts of mankind. All around fall endless golden coins that disintegrate in permanent pleasures, while numerous chains descend. The figure reaches out. Temptation is a willing prison, more dangerous for being more beautiful. So, in some ways, I think that's a warning. But in some ways, it's like, not to put too fine a point on it, but perhaps the people that you might want to rebel or start a revolution against are susceptible to these illusions. And it might be useful to use them against them. Just a thought, just saying. It you know, it's equally useful to know how people think. It's useful to know your enemy and what they want and need. It's useful to think like your enemy, even if it makes you feel gross. Trust me, I know. I really understand that, but it's very useful to understand how the people who are working against you or you're working against think and understand the world. As someone who studies systems and infrastructures. So the additional artwork, this, as I said, this sort of course it's not coming up, this shiny, kind of cool thing back in here. The additional artwork, surrounding the devil are 40 positions, 26 filled with prisons and the others empty. This references Milgram's experiment. Following the trials of Nazi war criminals, Stanley Milgram asked how a seemingly average population could commit the atrocities of World War II. Seems resonant. Would everyday Americans have done the same? In his experiment, a hired actor posing as an authoritative scientist. Seems like a STS, a Science and Technology Studies thing. A hired actor posing as an authoritative scientist asked the participant to administer increasing levels of electrical shocks to a second hired actor should he answer various test questions incorrectly. As the shocks, which were fake, increased in voltage, the second actor would yell and bang repeatedly, indicating distress and fear of death. After much verbal prodding and assurances that these shocks and actions were essential, 26 of the 40 participants administered, however reluctantly, a fatal 450-volt shock. Milgram's experiment demonstrates that average people are alarmingly susceptible to acts of evil given sufficient motivation. Which is the message of Andor. To be honest, is how are people complicit? How are we all complicit? What level are we willing to be complicit to? Where do we draw the line? And maybe that's what this card is asking too. Where do we draw the line? And where do we draw the flaming sword of truth? Where do we decide that enough is enough? Where do we have to come in with truth, reasoning, objectivity, breakthrough? It's immediate, topped with a flaming sword, the symbol of majesty and power. It's a statement, a command, the clearest of bells in a foggy world. Emerges from a bed of golden flowers, a sign of wealth and beauty that can be achieved when you use power to dispel confusion and illusion. Note, however, that a few petals have been sliced apart by the sword's movement, a caution that the force of pure intellect is a double-edged sword, and also a shadow of things to come from the remainder of the suit. Yeah. Didn't notice that. We got the beginning and the end here too, right? So from clarity, from this clarity of I am the only, I am the only one who has true clarity of purpose. Right? Saw Gerrera. Where does that end up? Victory, but at what cost? What are you willing to give? An indiscriminate fire tops the sword, illuminating a path and searing through the lies and deceit that could cloud your situation. Now is not the time to be clouded by emotions, but cut straight to the facts. And that is the hard part. That is the hard part when you care about what's happening, right? You care, you know, people don't rebel. I rebel, right? Genersu. People don't rebel. People don't embark on a revolution, on a rebellion, because they don't give a shit. The issue is balancing that, right? The issue is balancing your Cassian and your Luthen, I guess. Balancing these pieces of you. I feel for Mon Mothma, man. Anyway, let's just look at the Ten of Swords real quick so we can move on here. This is probably how this is gonna go. I can't see the time. 26:42. Okay, could be worse, could be worse. I can't see the numbers very well because I got it facing down, unfortunately. So it can't be like, oh, 11. Anyway, sorry. Ten of Swords. Crisis, breakdown, perseverance, closure. Perseverance. That's what I'm feeling really here, but crisis too. Scraping the bottom of the barrel. The Ten of Swords represents the darkness before the dawn. An ending to the sword suit that begins with a new light. This scene symbolizes the deep suffering and tragedies associated with the most trying of times. The aftermath of many dead and flightless birds, littering the many swords. But all things, both good and bad, must come to an end, and so too must the longest night. A single bird seems to have escaped the wrath and stands amid her brethren's bodies as a small sun rises in the background. Persevere and do not let your story end in the dark. Do not let your story end in the dark. So things may seem dark now or in the future, but we have to keep going. We have to keep wielding this flaming sword of truth. Perseverance is key, no matter the losses, no matter what we sacrifice along the way. Man, this is a tough reading for today. All right, so how can we use this in our life? How can we use this? How can we use this information? Let's say, how can we use this? How can we use the collective? And how can collective and how can blah? Let's say, how can the collective use this going forward? How can we use this information going forward? How can the collective use this information going forward? Whoa, I want it to come out. If it needs to come out, it'll come out. Whoa, that was a lot of cards. I flipped that over. I feel like that's too many. Thank you. Just a few at a time. Much appreciated. Whoa, okay. Oh, jeez. So we got the Nine of Swords to start. Keep this going forward. How can the collective use this going forward? Oh. The Fool. Okay, interesting. More. have to use this going forward. How can I use this information? Oh, okay. I'm going to take both of these. Oh. The Empress and Judgment. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Let me just arrange this so we can see all of these. All right. So, and we've got quite a few court cards. So we're going to have a few little fun background images that we will get into in a bit. Let me just see what I can see here first. So first off, Nine of Swords, like immediately seems to me, you know, a little bit of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? Things are going to move forward, but there's still more sacrifices to be made. Still, just remember that it gets darkest before the dawn, but there's always going to be setbacks too. That it's important to remember that this is a cycle. So there's going to be more of this over time. It's a war, right? An rebellion is a war. There are battles. You win and lose multiple battles. You don't finish with one battle. It's protracted combat. It takes time. If you want to look at it in Star Wars context, the Battle of Yavin wasn't the final, wasn't the first battle. And it definitely wasn't all of it. It took time to get there. And that's part of what Andor is about, is like, how do you get to a rebellion? How do you push people to the point where they're willing to risk their lives? And it takes multiple sacrifices. It takes multiple cycles through this. It takes multiple points where people say, you know what, this is enough. Because everybody has to get to this point where it's enough. You need a critical mass. And so I think this is just a reminder, and again, I'll go back to the book real quick after, but I think this is just a reminder that, you know, these things, it's hard to say, but, you know, it's hard to, I mean, it's not hard to say as in, oh, it's hard to remember, but it's hard to say, it's hard to tell people that, you know, there's not always, but there's more birds, there's more rabbits that need to die. There's more in terms of ideals, in terms of situations, even in terms of people. There are things you need to sacrifice. Maybe it's just even giving up people, right? Like not like so much as people are going to die or anything like that. Like not anything that drastic, but it's just in terms of like, you know, you might need to give up people who don't share your values. Give up things that don't align with your purpose. Give up things that don't align with what you're trying to do. If whatever your rebellion or your revolution is that important to you, maybe you really need to sit and look at, like, what are the sacrifices you need to make, and keep making them, keep making them, keep making them until victory. But like, even though this sucks, what do we have here? A leap of faith and new beginnings. You have to be blind to it. You have to trust in the universe, trust in yourself, trust in other people, trust in the goodness of like whatever's out there. Trust that there can be a new beginning. But trusting in that, there is fertility, there is growth, there is like something new, like there is the ability to build. It almost feels like a new world. You can birth something new. Something new can come out of all this. Out of the sacrifice, out of the brutal truth, out of maybe exploiting people's greed, exploiting people's materialism, exploiting the things that are chaining them to this past world. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Or maybe they need to be, maybe this truth needs to be revealed to them that this is not the world they want. This world needs to be sacrificed in order to build this new one, to take a leap into this new one. And then judgment is that fated, path, that new beginning, that justice. It's not just like justice, but that true balancing of things. It is justice in a sense, but it's this is the horn. this is the angels come down to render judgment on all of humanity at the end of times, right? So this is the true balancing of the scales here. And in this sequence, it feels really positive. Whatever this rebellion is to you, to the collective, whoever's watching this, you can build something new out of this that truly embodies balance for people. For you, for others, for whoever's involved in this, but like that starts to look like equity, right? That starts to look like, starts to look like something fair. Starts to look like fairness. Starts to look like honesty. Starts to look like, I don't know. I don't want to say the Republic because I'm like not really sure. I mean, is it better than the Empire, right? But like, I'm not going to say any political situation is like better than the other, especially a fantasy one. But I mean, like, think of like what you want your situation to be that you're thinking of. Think of your ideal that you want, the world to be. Think of what would be the fairest option. Like, or the best possible option is the only possible option, as they say. Like, what would be the best possible option for everybody involved? Holy crap. That's wild. Actually, that's what I was saying when, I was setting intentions for this, is like, I wanted the best, possible outcome for the collective in this reading. I feel like this is sort of what this represents. Okay, let me just go through these meanings real quick and wrap this up. I feel really kind of moved by this. I feel like this is kind of lovely. Wow, kind of want to cry. Okay. Oh, okay, 9 of Swords, 2, yeah. nightmare, desperation, terror, worry. The darkest hour, desperation, loss of hope. A white rabbit, traditionally a symbol of luck, has been brutally impaled. The future looks grim. The sword itself, with pointed pommel and guard, sits center of the image, proud of the result. Its conspirators, 8 additional swords in the background, form a cage or ring around the scene. Their handle and guard designs vary, implying that the next betrayal can be by the hand of anyone. Noticeably, the red that flows from the pure white rabbit is not blood. It is rose petals, and the scene takes on the characteristics of dreams instead of reality, alluding to the possibility that this dread is perhaps not real. The Nine of Swords can refer to physical as well as mental imprisonment and difficulties. So, this could represent less, these things that are coming up, these things in the future. This potential, like, 2 steps back is less, an actuality. Though it could be an actuality. I mean, the world's pretty fucked up right now. But less an actuality and more a potential, right? It's a possibility. This could possibly happen, right? It doesn't need to happen, but it's a possibility. And getting hung up on the possibilities are going to prevent you from going through this. Like, you can't let these possibilities stop you from taking this leap, right? Don't let that happen. Don't allow that. Make sure that if there are concerns, that these are concerns that are, like, your concerns are always valid, but make sure that your concerns are grounded in reality. And, it's just, they're acceptable risks. And they're acceptable risks, and they're holding yourself back because you're just afraid. You're just afraid in general. You're just preventing yourself from moving forward, from doing the things that you need to do. And trust me, I understand I'm kind of procrastinating right now. But that's okay. We all do it. So yeah. It is what it is. But like, just make sure that your worries aren't preventing you from the things you really want to do or the things you really need to do. Okay, the Fool. Like, I'm sure everybody's pretty familiar with the Fool, but we'll go through this anyway. Beginning, inexperience, spontaneousness, openness. The Fool is the pinnacle of the possibilities and potential. Like a child who has learned little and has yet to choose a path in life, this card represents abundance of choices, though hints at a lack of information or experience to choose the most optimal route. So just before I forget, like, this could mean, like, we don't know how to do things right now because we're in a different situation than we've ever been in. Either in the situation you're thinking about right now, collectively, in general, that could be it. It could be just like, we need to blaze a new path entirely. And so uncertainty is inevitable in this, like, rebellion or revolution or whatever situation you're relating this to. The infant is surrounded by shapes in the darkness. While an adult may fear what is hidden from view, the infant has not yet learned to fear the unknown and is struck with a sense of wonder. An unclear path is scary, but can also bring new discoveries in an untold future. The child is surrounded by forms of the four suits: furiously beating wings of wands, fantastical levitating fish of cups, flowers and plants of pentacles, single butterfly of swords. Which is interesting because a lot of the time only the magician is surrounded by the four suits. A couple other cards, I think, but not often the Fool. Correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, that is my understanding. So that shows to me that even at the beginning of the journey, like, from this particular Fool, even at the beginning of the journey, we have the resources necessary to do what we need to do. They're there. We may not know how to use them properly, but we have them. This card is the beginning of a journey and a reminder that the start of any new undertaking is both intimidating and exciting. It can also serve as a reminder to trust our instincts. In the absence of learned knowledge, the fool can only follow his heart. And so the additional artwork, these like wing type things in the background. Oh, that's a good way. Oh, beautiful. A plot of the Lorenz attractor is shown. Named for Edward Lorenz, a pioneer of chaos theory and the origin of the term butterfly effect. The image traces a path that circles one side and can randomly switch to the other. In Lorenz's words, chaos, when the present determines the future, but the approximate present does not approximately determine the future. Chaos theory applies to deterministic and measurable futures, but are highly sensitive to conditions in the beginning. Even the slightest of changes can invalidate any future predictions, causing apparent chaos. So this also says to me, the future is not written in stone. Like, any one little thing, even decisions that you can make, can change the future. Don't assume that everything is going to go exactly the way everyone says it is. Don't assume that everything is going to go exactly the way, like, don't assume we're in the darkest timeline and that's all there is to it. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what little tiny change will send everything on a different path. You don't know who's going to throw the brick at the stormtroopers, to make another Andor reference. You know, that's the theme this time. Anyway, let's take a look at the Empress. Got some crud on her card, unfortunately. Don't know what that is, but we got some chemical symbol back there. I think it's oxytocin, if I recall correctly. But let's go to the book and find out. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, because it makes sense, because she's all lovey and snuggly. Everybody loves the Empress. Wants to get sexy with her. So, mothering, riches, pleasure, sexuality. I was right. The Empress sits on a lavish throne of rich gold bursting with motifs of flowering plants and overgrown vines. Essentially, she parts her finery. She parts her finery, does she? Ooh. That's a euphemism. The Empress is the embodiment of pleasure in all forms, from lush materials to sexual joy. Loving embraced, heartfelt laughter, the Empress wants for nothing and enjoys an abundance of all good things. As she sits on her throne, she holds in her arm a ripe melon, a symbol of mothering and birth, not only of a human child, but of the earth and nature itself. Yes, a new world, bitches. As she is nourished by the world, she returns it in kind reciprocity, representing a oneness with the planet on which we were born. This card signals a person, time, or event that is rich in bounty, whether experiential or physical. This richness is meant to be shared. As a mother, the Empress has an abundance that should be given freely and lovingly, never coveted or guarded jealously. Additional artwork, a diagram of the hormone oxytocin stands behind the Empress, commonly known as the love hormone. It is one of the key neurotransmitters that regulate sexual reproduction, as well as feelings of empathy and generosity. Though it may only apply to members of one's in-group, commonly a social circle or family, outside of these in-groups, oxytocin can promote dishonesty in individuals if it serves to advance their particular in-group. Interesting. I always missed that part. So it can make y'all liars. It explains Sons of Anarchy, doesn't it? Oxytocin levels are increased during orgasm, breastfeeding, and physical embrace, and small-scale studies have shown that increased exposure to the chemical triggers for preference for one's longtime romantic partner over an equally attractive stranger. So, Yes. So, does that relate to my interpretation? Potentially, because I always think, as I've said in a video I uploaded, we need more love in the world. Everyone needs to love each other more. I think. If people care about each other, they should just fucking say that they love each other. Like, just tell people you love them. It doesn't even matter if, like, oh no, they might think something, they might think that I want something out of them, they, you know, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you know, it's more important that people know that you care about them. Like, does this need to be transactional? No. Do you need to do you need to get something from somebody because you care about them? No. Like, do they need to feel like beholden to you in some way? No. Do you need a response? No. It's just enough, like, if it were enough to just love people, like, if it were enough to just care about people, if it were enough to just, if more people were just like, you know what, hey, I love you, man, I love you, friend, you know, I'm here for you, like, I feel like the world would be a better place. Or even, you know, I'm in love with you, but I don't need you to do anything about that. I just think you're the best person in the world. Like, more like that. Shit, I'm crying again. I get really choked up about stuff. I think we'd all be happier. You know? That's the kind of world I want. That's the kind of world I want. That's my revolution. Me and Newton, a baby. That's why I dye my hair pink. Anyway, gonna read Just Judgment and wrap this up before I start ugly crying here or something. It's a good thing I'm not in camera because I'd be really embarrassed right now. Okay. Come on, Judgment. I'm already embarrassed. Thanks if you stuck with me through this. Thanks so much, guys. Or friends, guys, girls, ladies, and gentlemen, folks. I am personally kind of gender agnostic, so you know, I'm training myself out of using gendered language. Anyway, Judgment. Decision, reward, reckoning, punishment. Judgment is the culmination of all actions and intentions. Time where everyone will reap their just deserts. I want to say something about Luigi, but I'm not going to. Featured heavily in a myriad of religious texts, the good will be rewarded and the bad will be punished. Yeah, bitches. Good will be rewarded and bad will be punished. I feel extremely good about this because I feel like I need some rewards. A menacing being strides through the clouds. One hand points to the accused while another readies a long spear. Is this the spear of Longinus? Perhaps. I don't know. This has a real Evangelion, like, you know, vibe, huh? This looks like a angel coming down and Shinji getting the robot Shinji. Sorry. I gotta wrap this. I'm getting really ridiculous. Okay. Seriously. Shinji needs to get in the robot. A menacing being strides through the clouds. One hand points to the accused while another readies a long spear. For sinners, the time of reckoning has come. Get it, sinners. Judgment, though, must be enacted across all beings alike. Equity, including the judge herself. A third hand clutches a ring of thorns, a symbol of penance for past wrongs, while a fourth hand gestures towards a healing wound. Closure and forgiveness of misdeeds repaid. Oh my god, my hand is shaking so bad. I'm sorry. Need to eat. Though referencing an apocalyptic end time, Judgment card more often calls for a moment of clarity. What people, projects, or things are deserving of your time and energy? Have you returned this relationship in kind? Extraneous entities that are of no benefit, have only caused harm, should be stripped away or barred. Equity, clearing of the board. Get rid of all the shit that is no longer serving people, no longer serving the world. Judgment of the people who were bad. Get rid of them. At the end of the rebellion, justice for reckoning for the bad people, reward for the good. Good ending, in my opinion. Also, just wanted to mention, referencing an apocalyptic end time, one of my favorite movies is called Cairo. It's Pulse in English. It's by oh my god, Kurosawa Kiyoshi. It's from the early 2000s, and it's Japanese. I feel it's important to mention that. In any case, when he talks about it, he has a lot of apocalypses in his movies. I mean, it's Japanese. They had a bit of an apocalypse, so they have apocalypses in movies. Go figure. In any case, he talks about apocalypse in his films, in Cairo in particular, and he talks about them being hopeful because it's a chance to reset, right? It's a chance to build things better, right? Take a leap, make a new world, build better after this slate is wiped clean. So, like, think about that too, right? When you have this moment of clarity, when there is an end times, when the moment of reckoning has come, when, you know, the good is rewarded, the bad is punished, when everyone reaps their just deserts, right? When everything's stripped away, you can find, like, you can make this world that is, like, embodied by the Empress, embodied by love, right? And abundance and sensuality too, because, like, why not? Let's have some fun, for fuck's sake. So the additional artwork in the background, see those little, those are 7 trumpets or shofar. During the age of Abrahamic religions, not sure what that means, but that's what it says. These trumpets were a traditional sacred craft of ancient Hebrews and made from ram's horns. I guess during ancient Abrahamic, I don't know. Anyways, these trumpets were a traditional sacred craft of ancient Hebrews and were made from ram's horns, lending their spot to their spiraling shape. The Christian book of Revelation signals the end times by blowing on these 7 trumpets, each bringing forth an apocalyptic event, ranging from a third of all trees and fish dying to the opening of a bottomless pit, from which poured scorpion-tailed war horses. The Islamic Quran also signals the end time with 2 blows of a trumpet, first causing all on earth to fall dead, and then finally to arise and wait judgment. That's intense. Okay. I did not know that happened. Wow. It's just you die and then you gotta get back up and await judgment. That's a lot. But so are the third of all everything dying and the plagues and everything like that too. So this reading was a lot. I thought this would be kind of like fun May the 4th reading. We ended with judgment, which is good, but a lot, and I mean, kind of like This is a hell of an image, y'all. Like, let's be real here. Look at this. Wow. Like, just in terms of beauty too. And I mean, the angel that Shinji needs to fight here is not pointing at the devil, which is interesting. It's not the devil's fault. You know? Devil only influences people. People are the one who are falling for these illusions. People are the one who are doing the Milgram experiment. They're the ones who have to be judged when the trumpets are blown. Question is, I guess, too, is what are you going to have done when you get to the end here, right? What truth will you have seen? What illusions will you have fallen for? What truth will you have seen? What sacrifices will you have made? Will you have succumbed to worry and doubt? Will you have made the leaps you need to make? Will you have trusted that small changes, like Ruha Benjamin talks about in Viral Justice, right? That small changes within these systems can go viral as much as the pandemics and the worst parts of these systems that have worked to disempower people, that we can make these small things and small changes and small movements we can use virality in the same way that it is used against us. Ruha Benjamin is great. Viral Justice is great. Definitely take a look at her work. You can also watch talks on YouTube if you don't want to read a whole book. That's totally fine. Engaging speaker. But yes, like, take this leap. Trust in the universe. Trust in small changes. Trust in other people to make small changes. To build the world that you want. A world with love. And a world where everybody gets what's coming to them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say it that way. But honestly, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with dharma, karma, however you want to call it. I call it dharma because, you know, dharma is in this lifetime, and I'm not down for waiting for people to get their just reward, shall we say, in the next life. So I feel like that's good. I didn't get to the Mythic Tarot. I will get to it another time. I thought about drawing one last card for a piece of advice, but oof, I'm feel it's kind of tapped out, and I feel like this is a perfect place to end it. So thank you so much if you stuck with me. May the 4th be with you. Whatever your rebellion or your revolution is. If something resonated with you, please let me know in the comments. If you watch through this whole thing, I don't know, leave it like a spaceship or something in the comments emoji to let me know that you got through it, or say may the 4th be with you. Tell me what your favorite Star Wars is. Tell me what you love about Andor. Any of the above. In any case, thank you so much. I appreciate you